Good morning, Corey.
Good morning, Michelle.
I believe every company should strive to form a diverse table, to empower people of different skills and every time. What is it?
Skills and identities.
To foster a new generation of, okay, let's go again.
Let's talk about Bugonia. All right, I'm going to talk first. I'm going to say if you have not seen Bugonia, do not watch this because I'm not going to do two separate reviews, non-spoiler and spoiler for this. I'm just going full blown in. What the yo? This movie is insane. Let me tell you why this movie is insane, right? Let me start why. I'm not even going to give you the synopsis first. I'm just going to tell you why it's insane. This movie is insane because it goes there. Like it goes emotionally places where I'm like, they're not going to do that. They're not going to make that character do that. That's not going to happen. And it happens. Yeah, that's the aspect or one of the aspects that make it a really good film. But I think if you can take the what the F aspect that a lot of movies are trying to do these days and actually make it sincere and make people really be like, wow, that was actually kind of crazy what I saw. That's actually kind of different. I think that's key to making something that sticks out at the end of the year when we wrap up and do your movie wrap ups and think about everything that you saw this year. This movie I think is going to stick out a lot, and I saw a lot of movies in theater this year. But before I go any further, let me give you the non-spoiler to spoiler synopsis. So Bugonia is basically about a young man played by Jesse Plemons, I think is how you say his name. He has convinced his cousin, who seems to be kind of on the spectrum or maybe even fully kind of somewhat mentally disabled. He convinces his cousin, who loves him so dearly, that a woman running some sort of big Fortune 500 company, think like Amazon or something, that she is an alien, a full-blown alien. And not only is she an alien, but she is sent here by a group of other aliens who have been monitoring and watching us for years, and that he and his cousin must now kidnap her and convince her to allow them to speak to her superiors. Just on a regular, like, non-spoiler scenario as that is, that sounds nuts. You're like, well, not only does that sound nuts, but like, how can I sit there for an hour and a half or however long this film is and make that interesting? How can they make that interesting and make me? Because you kind of already know where this is going, right? Because you're like, duh, these people are mentally ill. It's just going to be one of those crazy movies. And the director, Lagros, however you say his name is, I'm sorry, he's made films like this before. I'm not his biggest fan. I like his movies, but I think he's kind of the main kind of director that does this thing where they kind of act like there is a big thing, but there's no big thing. It's just a movie about people being weird. But let me tell you something. Bugonia is far, far more than just a movie about people being weird. This movie has a real emotional grasp. Okay, now we're going to talk more kind of in spoilers. So again, if you have not seen Bugonia and you don't want to know what happens or how this goes, don't watch this. So one of the first crazy things that I think took place in this movie that kind of like was crazy to me, and we could go down the list. One of the first things was the planning of this actual kidnapping, right? Because I didn't know anything about this movie. I went in blind. So I thought maybe they were going in a direction where these two were going to be stopped in some sort of way, or something was going to flaw their plan of kidnapping. Nope. The kidnapping goes down. So that was like the first thing that was really super, super shocking to me. So they kidnap this woman, and we as the audience, we know and we assume like, okay, she's obviously not an alien. These two are just not even both mentally ill. This one young man, Jesse's character, is mentally ill, and he's now imposing this on his cousin, who is kind of mentally disabled, not mentally ill, and just wants to be loved by his cousin, just wants to live with his cousin and do what his cousin says. So you take that and you're like, all right, this is not going to go anywhere good. And now that they have her, they have to engage with, of course, letting her know that they know she's an alien, letting her know that they are willing to harm her, to get information out of her. And they're doing this all very calm. At first, you can tell that they want things to be done very calmly and very professionally. Jesse's character even like prides himself in saying out loud that we're doing everything so nicely and normally and calmly. And eventually things just go down south, man. And I will say, one of the next thing that really surprised me in this film was the torture. There's a scene of torture in this movie where Jesse and his cousin, of course, does not want to really take place in this part specifically, but Jesse, some sort of electrotherapy or just straight up electrocution as Emma Stone's character. That was really shocking. All right, so one of the other shocking things that really shocked me was this whole situation or relationship with Jesse's character and his ex-babysitter. This babysitter is now a sheriff or some sort of police officer for the town, and he is constantly pulling up on Jesse's character and kind of pseudo-apologizing for whatever he did to Jesse when he was babysitting 20 years ago. And it's made pretty clear, like they don't outright say what actually happened, but through his apologies, it's made pretty clear that this babysitter physically assaulted or, sexually harassed Jesse's character in some sort of way 20 years ago. So yeah, that was another mind-blowing thing to me. And so we learn that this pharmaceutical company of some sort that Jesse's character works for and that Emma's character is the grand boss for, his mother was some sort of test subject for an anti-opiate drug or a drug to get off of opiates, and it has now put her in some sort of like coma, and this has Jesse really upset. And also there's obviously other mental things going on with his character. He's mentally ill, obviously, and he's lonely. He doesn't have his mom, who was the only person in his life, and we're given these not constant, but we're given a couple of flashbacks or dream sequence flashbacks to when he was younger and first discovered that his mom was sick like this, and Emma's character apologizing and trying to compensate him through money, which obviously was not enough because he's still working at that same company, stacking and packaging boxes. Again, spoilers, if you have not seen the movie, cut this off, go watch it. If you've even made it this far, please just cut it off before I tell you what happens next. Okay, so I think the second most surprising thing to me was the suicide of Jesse's cousin. That was bizarre. I did not see that coming until maybe 5 seconds before it actually happened on screen, is when I was like, oh no, that's not about to happen. That's not about to happen. And it does. So Jesse's cousin, who again is mentally disabled to some extent, he's this whole time has been very in disarray because of this whole situation. He didn't really want to do this. He's constantly telling his cousin, like, can we stop? Can I go to the bathroom? This isn't good. You're going to hurt her. You're going to kill her. So he didn't really want anything to do with this. And prior to this scene, Jesse's character and Emma Stone's character just got into a physical altercation at the table because Jesse's character is very sensitive to what's going on with his mom. And Emma's character brings up his mother by name several times and he attacks her. Immediately after that, the sheriff that I mentioned before, who has been, has known Jesse's character and did something to him as a child, he pulls up to the house to question Jesse about Emma's character being missing. So they immediately have to hide her in the basement with the cousin. And after the dialogue between Emma's character and the cousin, he's confused. She's now admitting and just trying to say that she's an alien because she wants to get out of there, and tells him that she'll take him with her wherever she goes. He begs her to take him with her because he just doesn't want to be here on this earth anymore. It's a heartbreaking scene, man. And you have to hear someone that is about to do this terrible thing to himself. Hear him just say man, I'm ready to go. And he does that and he takes his life with a shotgun, and it is graphic. And even Emma Stone's character is really surprised. She's shocked that it happens. Jesse comes down, is very upset, obviously, that his cousin is dead. And Emma convinces him, obviously, to somehow go get antifreeze out of her car and give it to his mother as some sort of antidote for what's causing her to be physically ill. And he stupidly does that because she thinks that it'll get him arrested for doing that. But he escapes after doing that, after literally watching his mother die in front of his face. Another shocking scene. And she goes downstairs and finds out that Jesse's character has been doing this for a while. She finds some secret compartment that leads to a room that has all these dead bodies. All these dead bodies of people that he tortured and ended up murdering because he was trying to find this alien species. And when Jesse comes home from what he did to his mother accidentally, she confronts him. And in this confrontation, we learn the first most surprising thing about this story. She is indeed an alien. And not only is she an alien, she's very upset that he's killed innocent people in search of her alien species. And come to find out, only 2 of those people that he killed were even actually aliens. And there's a good amount of them that he killed in there. So that, again, very surprising. So after all that, we find out she's an alien. She confesses all that to him. He's almost terrified himself that the information is now being confirmed, which, is kind of expected. He says, I want you to take me to your leader. She says, fine. They go to her office where she has this this. And even as the audience now, we're still like, is she just playing around? Like, is she really an alien, or is she just doing this to get him outside in an outside environment and have him be apprehended by the police? They go to her office. Everyone is now, remember, she's been missing for days. So everyone seeing her for the first time is like shocked and now calling the authorities and calling everybody as they make their way into her office. She tells Jesse's character that she has some sort of ship inside of her closet that will beam them up to her alien planet. And he's all for it, but she has to punch in the code on this very old school calculator. And Jesse's character has a bomb strapped to him. What? He has a bomb strapped to him to assure that she cannot screw him over, that she's going to make sure he gets inside of this spacecraft, whatever it is, that's going to beam him up, and that she will do it. Okay, again, as the audience, we're still to this moment kind of like, is this for real? This can't be for real. Everyone is now surrounding her office, trying to get in. She's barricaded the door, or Jesse's character, I don't remember who, one of them barricades the door to make sure people can't get in. And she's like, all right, get in there. I'm going to punch in this code. Jesse's character goes inside of the closet, and boom, his bomb that's strapped to him somehow goes off. His head flies off and hits Emma's character dead in the forehead. And I'm just sitting there with my jaw wide open, like, what is going on? We are now in the ambulance with her character. And again, we still don't know. We don't know if she's really an alien. She hops out of that ambulance. She gets out of the ambulance, first she confirms with the ambulance people, is he dead? They're like, yes, he's gone. He's dead. His head, clearly he's decapitated. He blew up. She jumps out of the ambulance, walks with her busted kneecap all the way back to her office, goes inside of that closet, and beams herself up to another friggin' planet, an alien planet. And every single thing that Jesse's character said about these aliens is including their hair, the spaceship that they travel in, everything is true. It all turned out to be true. And I thought, for me, that was a little bit going too far. I don't think they literally had to show us all of that, but they show us the people. They show us the hair. They show us that they wear, and they look kind of silly. That's the one thing I also did not like. If they were going to do it, I think they should have made them at least look more serious looking, but they look kind of silly, almost Teletubby looking. It was weird. Again, another shocking scene. This entire reveal was shocking, but we find out that Earth was kind of just up for debate. It had been discovered a long time ago, and that humans were actually descendants of these characters, these alien characters, and that the whole time that Emma's character and other aliens that they sent on to Earth were here to kind of just like test us and make sure we were on the right path. Well, if you've been on Earth, you know that we are not on the right path. We have not been for quite some time. So this was the test. And Jesse's character, him and his cousin doing this, was kind of the straw that just broke the camel's back and put it over the edge. And it has been decided by the council of these aliens, Earth should no longer exist. It's gonna go. And it was interesting to see Emma's character actually get emotional when she had to literally burst the bubble and kill everyone on Earth, and end Earth. It was interesting to see that, because obviously, like she stated earlier in the film, she had spent so much time here on Earth that she kind of became a human. She kind of became the modern human. And I think she actually grew to love the planet and stuff like that, in her position in it at least. So that was interesting to see. And it doesn't stop there. Although that was the end of the reveals and the end of the story, as it was, that's where the story ends. We're given several shots of Earth, around the entire Earth, different countries, different environments, different social environments, different organizations, different industries, where people have just literally dropped where they're standing, dropped literally in the middle of what they're doing, just dropped dead because the bubble was popped. And that was so cool to me to see all those shots. I think every one of those shots and that entire scene was the most visually impressive of the movie, because they really got everyone to just look like practical effect. This was not CGI from what I could see, just dropped right where they were. And it was really jarring to see that in some of the situations that they showed. I think with that, for me, the story wise with that, it was also interesting to know or to think like, wow, Earth was really just like at this species in the palm of their hand. Like, we could have been crushed at any moment or popped at any moment. And I just think there's a lot of themes in this movie that you can go for to understand, or to say that you took from it. I took from it, like, a lot of things. Two of the things that I took from it was, obviously the negatives that come from doing something as extreme as Jesse and his cousin did. Also the importance of mental health and knowing that you're going through a mental health crisis and getting yourself help. Because yeah, the story is wacky because in the end, Jesse was right. He wasn't really crazy, was he? These people were aliens, and what he said was going on was exactly what was going on, which also leaves a lot of room for discussion with this film. But I think in the end, you're left to wonder, well, if Jesse wasn't mentally ill and so fixated on this alien species and figuring them out and trying to bring an end to what they were doing, from what we see in that last shot, Earth would have been better off, I guess, because at least we would have all still gotten a chance to exist. And that is why I think Bugonia is definitely, I don't know if it's number one, but it's definitely my top 3 films of this year. I'm Jay with Pop-Up. Thanks for listening. This was just like a short spoiler kind of thing. I'm going to try to do this sometimes because I don't know how to do movie reviews. I just know how to talk about movies. Thanks for watching, guys. And please check out the other videos on our channel if you like your reviews, unbiased and real, because that's what we do.